Thank you, Denise. What a wonderful crowd we have today. And I love seeing all the sea of orange and black. I managed to get my orange and on today to celebrate being here in Stillwater. Well, thank you once again, and what a wonderful crowd that we have. And Denise, I appreciate your leadership for the chamber. Thank you for all that you do. I know it requires a tremendous amount of time, but thank you for being chair of the board, and we appreciate you putting together this luncheon so I could have the opportunity to visit with you. And the leaders, oops, there we go. That kind of coming on and off. That, whoop, not quite on. There you go. Perfect, thank you. Wish I had a bottle of water. I'd do a Marco Rubio. Just joking. Microphones aren't that bad. Anyway, it's great to be here, and Denise, thank you so much for arranging all this. And you know, I just want to say I have wonderful memories of living here in Stillwater when I was going to school at our alma mater, Oklahoma State University. And it certainly gave me a high-quality education that has helped me to move along my career path over the years. I had no idea when I was a student here at Oklahoma State that I'd ever be governor. Never crossed my mind. Glad we didn't have Facebook back then and all those social media things, or I might not be here today, but, but I am thrilled to be here and certainly very, very proud of Oklahoma State University and all that it has done. And we had a wonderful ceremony yesterday in Oklahoma City where we dedicated a portrait of T. Boone Pickens and celebrated all that he has done for our university and certainly for our athletic program and our scholarship programs here in Stillwater, and all that he's done for the state of Oklahoma. A lot of Oklahoma State people came to that, and Stillwater people, and our regents that are sitting here. I saw many of them yesterday, and our legislators that are here. Thank you for coming, being at the Capitol. And then just a little while ago, we had a wonderful celebration of turning on a switch to celebrate the use of wind power to be the main source of power here on Oklahoma State's campus, and to once again prove that OSU is a leader in so many different areas of innovation. And so it's been a big week for Stillwater. It's been a big week for Oklahoma State University and our grads. And I was thinking, Mr. President, about how much OSU has grown under your leadership and how fortunate we are to have Burns Hargis take this job, and certainly following the big footsteps of Senator Halligan, who took a demotion from president down to senator. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's kind of like when I left Congress. Everybody keeps asking me if I miss Congress. I said, heck no, I don't miss Congress. I'm glad to be back in Oklahoma. But we're very proud of former President Jim Halligan and certainly President Hargis. Thank you both for your leadership and all that you've done. I also want to say hi to the mayor. Mayor, good to see you. Mayor Bartley, it's great to see you. I was telling the mayor a few moments ago that I grew up in a small town, smaller than Stillwater, in Tecumseh. And when I was a student here at Oklahoma State, my dad was the mayor of Tecumseh while I was going to school here. He passed away right after I graduated from college, and then my mother became the mayor. So I have great appreciation for mayors, too. So we are proud of all that you are doing here in Stillwater to lead this to be a more vibrant community. So thank you for that and your leadership here too. Well, Stillwater has certainly benefited from great political leadership at the Capitol, and I know I saw several of our legislators that are here. Thank you for joining us, but in particular, I'm proud of Lee Denny, Representative Lee Denny, who's chairman of our Subcommittee on Education and Appropriations, and Senator Halligan, who's our chairman of Subcommittee on Education and Appropriations, too. Thank you both for your committed leadership to higher education, to common education, and all that both of you have done to certainly represent this area of the state, but to help us improve education in Oklahoma. They're great leaders, along with Corey Williams. I don't want to forget Corey Williams. Representative Dennis Casey. Also, I don't know if they're here, but I saw both Lee and Jim here. So thank you for the great job that you're doing and helping us to bring Oklahoma even further along in education efforts. And we are doing a great job in Oklahoma, and not only promoting our state, but promoting our various communities like Stillwater and helping in job creation, creating a stronger, more vibrant, educated workforce. And I've had the opportunity to work with your legislators in this area to help us do all that and to work on our legislative agenda for 2013. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update on where we're at in the legislative process. I gave my State of the State speech last Monday, week ago Monday, and we kicked off our legislative session. We're right in the big middle of it, and it's a very busy time at the Capitol. And I want to visit with you a little bit about that. But you know what else I was going to tell you too? I was sitting there talking at my table a minute ago, and I don't want to forget this, is how many people we have from Stillwater that are either OSU graduates or work here at OSU that are on my cabinet. I was sitting there talking to Secretary Ming, and I don't want to forget Secretary Mike Ming, who's our Secretary of Energy that has joined us here today. But Secretary Stephen McKeever, who works here at OSU, is my Cabinet Secretary of Science and Technology. Our Secretary Jim Reese, Secretary of Agriculture, is also an OSU graduate. Secretary Gary Ridley, who's our Secretary of Transportation, OSU graduate. Secretary of Education Phyllis Hudecki, who's an OSU graduate. Who else am I missing, Mike? We were sitting there going through the whole list. Secretary Gary Shearer, Secretary of Environment, has done a super job. So we certainly got a lot of influence on our cabinet from Stillwater and Oklahoma State University, but they're all doing a super job. So I want to say thank you to all of our cabinet secretaries. Well, so let me talk to you a little bit about Oklahoma. As I said in my State of the state of our state is strong. We're doing much better in our economy. We went through some very challenging times when the nation went through its economic recession, starting back in 2008. We had some very big challenges with our revenue in our state, as our senators and reps know, during 2009, 2010, and when I took office in January of 2011, it was challenging for me because we had a $500 million budget hole, shortfall, to fill in our appropriations and in our budget itself. We worked very hard to prioritize our spending at the state capitol 2 years ago. We not only closed the $500 million budget shortfall and that gap, but we also cut our income tax by 0.25%. And the results have been, since January of 2011, that we have created over 62,400 new net jobs in the state of Oklahoma, and we have surpassed the jobs that we lost during the economic downturn that began in 2008. And we have the fourth strongest growth rate of jobs in the nation in Oklahoma. Then one of the other top goals that we have is raising our standard of living in our state so that families can provide for themselves, individuals can provide for themselves. And because of our various reform efforts, because of strong industries in our state, because of focusing on a workforce and chambers of commerce like the Stillwater Chamber that has helped build good communities, we've been able to raise our per capita median household family income by 9%, by $4,000 in 1 year alone from 2011 to 2012, making us number one in the nation in per capita income growth. And then if you look at our unemployment rate, where we were at in 2011 or 2010, the end of 2010 in December, we had a 7% unemployment rate, and today Oklahoma is very fortunate to have a 5.1% unemployment rate, and better than that, Stillwater's unemployment rate, Mayor, is 3.7%. That's fantastic. It's because of that strong economic growth and strong revenue growth that the state of our state is in much better fiscal health than what it has been in the past. When I took office in January 2011, we had come out of those hard economic times. We had the budget shortfall that I mentioned. We had $2.03 in our rainy day emergency fund. We'd spent it all because we'd gone through some tough times. We had some billion-dollar budget shortfalls in previous years, $500 million when I came in office, so we had to use a lot of extra money to help us pay for our essential services in our state. But we have gone from having $2.03 in a rainy day account to now having a historic high of over $600 million in our rainy day account. It's not bad for 2 years of working, and it's not been all me. I've been there, fortunate to be at the Capitol, but it's because of our legislative efforts, our great reforms that we have done, prudent fiscal policy at the state capitol, that things are now looking up for the state of Oklahoma. I still have more things I want to do, by the way. We're not finished, but that's a great start to be where we're at. And Stillwater certainly has been helping us with our growth in our state. And you've done a great job in attracting companies and attracting great people to be here. And just this past year, I had the opportunity to work with one of our newest companies coming here to Stillwater, ASCO. We're so glad to see our table here. Welcome, and so glad to have you in Oklahoma. Belgium company, and had the opportunity to announce a big job announcement moving here to one of our empty facilities, which we were thrilled that you were able to take over. But I had the opportunity to meet with them at the Farnborough Air Show in England this past year. So great to see you, and we welcome you to Stillwater, welcome you to the state of Oklahoma. And we're excited about the 500 or so new jobs, and we hope you continue to grow as you prepare for your opening in 2014. And when I was visiting with them about moving into Oklahoma over the last year or so, they talked about our pro-business climate, talked about certainly our university here in Stillwater and the great communities we have here, but also our pro-growth policies that the legislature has worked so hard. And that was one of the reasons that they told me that they had looked and chosen Oklahoma, so we're real excited to have you here. As I said in my State of the State speech last week, we have had some great significant growth. We're turning things around, but now is not the time to let up. We got to keep the pedal to the metal and keep pushing as hard as we can to continue to grow Oklahoma's economy, strengthen our quality workforce, and to do everything we can in the legislature to help create that pro-business climate, pro-growth and pro-investment climate, so we can continue to attract jobs like ASCO to Oklahoma. So in light of that, I asked our Oklahoma Department of Commerce to look at all of our industries in our state and to do an in-depth analysis of all of our employment codes. Those of you that are in the business world know that we have employment codes of various industries. And we developed a software packaging system to take all of our different industries, our jobs, our skill sets, and we ran it through actually 72 different data fields, combined all that information to identify what are the wealth generation industries in our state. How can we further grow Oklahoma's economy? How can we further raise the standard of living, raise our per capita income, raise more revenue in our state through the industries that have the best potential to generate good paying jobs in Oklahoma? Not just a job, but good paying jobs in Oklahoma. And then what do we need to do to support those industries so that they'll not only stay here, but hopefully they'll grow here and will attract new industries not only from across the nation, but internationally also. And so we have that report done through the Department of Commerce, and I told the legislature about that this past week. And the data is very interesting. It shows that in the state of Oklahoma, our top key wealth generating industries are industries like aerospace and defense. As you all know, we have huge aerospace presence in Oklahoma. We have many military installations. We have a lot of defense industry that is here. We also have a very strong and long historic background of energy production in our state, which is critical to our future. So supporting the energy industry is very important, of all forms of energy. Agriculture, biosciences, which is one of our great colleges and universities. Oklahoma State got its very early beginnings as a land-grant college, is very important to Oklahoma's economy and our sectors. Information, IT, information services and financial services is very strong in Oklahoma's economy, generates better paying jobs, and transportation-related industries and distribution, manufacturing is also very important and have the greatest potential to raise wealth in Oklahoma and create those better paying jobs. Now, that's not all the industries that are important to Oklahoma, but those are the top 5 industries that stand out in the data compilation. And certainly there are other areas like healthcare and other things that are very important to Oklahoma, and we support all those industries. Tourism, all the various industries there are. And Stillwater is certainly benefiting and leading the way in many of these different areas. Aerospace, ASCO certainly is one of those companies that manufactures components for our aerospace industry, and we're glad to have you guys here. OSU has been a tremendous leader and has really helped the state of Oklahoma with their UAS, Unmanned Aerial Systems graduate degree program here at the university, along with their cooperation and collaboration with the University Multispectral Lab, which has helped us with our aerospace industry to be one of the top leaders in UAV, unmanned aerial vehicles, and unmanned aerial systems, and being able to train that workforce to land that. And because of the great work we have here, particularly at OSU, Oklahoma was recently awarded one of the Department of Homeland Security's federal grant to do UAV research at Fort Sill to be able to use UAVs for first responders for helping us during national crisis or state crisis, such as with hurricanes, with flooding, with wildfires, with terrorism that could be here, and how can we utilize that for first responders for law enforcement purposes in the United States. And the UML here at OSU has been a great part of helping us get that grant. We've certainly an agriculture hub here with OSU, and the great tremendous research, the development, the agriculture college itself, and all that they have done, and biosciences helping us boost the industry here in Oklahoma. And so that is part of what our plan is with the Department of Commerce, is taking just a couple of examples there of what Oklahoma State has been involved in Stillwater, and looking at the data so that we can help the legislature and myself and our cabinet secretaries be able to determine where can we best utilize our assets, what type of workers do we need to be educating, whether it's here in our higher education universities, whether it's in our career technology system, whether it's in common education, what type of skill sets does the workforce need, not only for today, but certainly into the future, to answer questions like which tax credits and which tax incentives are the most effective. Do they actually create jobs? Do they create sustainable jobs? Those that don't, we need to get rid of. Those that do, we want to keep them in place. Also to focus on which industries should we work on to help look at rules and regulations to make sure that we have the right policy mix so that we can help businesses do business easier in our state, unlike the federal government that we see in Washington, D.C. And how can we best attract the jobs of the future? And so we're very proud of having the partnerships that we have with our colleges, our universities, our career techs, and working on the data, our industries, and how we can better fine-tune and hone in on how we can create and build a more strong, vibrant workforce and creating more jobs. And one of the ways that Secretary Stephen McKeever has helped me is working on a STEM education plan for Oklahoma. That's science, technology, engineering, and math, which is very prominent here on the OSU campus. That's one of the areas that we've identified in our business plan that we're going to need more of, is STEM-educated graduates, whether it's getting a career technology certificate, whether it's getting a higher education certificate in those various industry fields, so we can support the aerospace industry, so we can support the energy sector, or the financial services, or data, information data type services. So we're trying to really focus in on what we can do to create the best workforce possible, and OSU is going to continue to play a role in that. In the meantime, besides looking at our core industries, we're also focusing on what matters to businesses as to whether they expand their businesses here, whether we retain jobs and keep them in Oklahoma, or whether we attract jobs. What do we need to further do in Oklahoma? We've done some great lawsuit reform at the Capitol, our first term in office in January in the year of 2011. Done some workers' compensation reform, education reform. We've worked on some other tax credits and incentives that have helped us, but we also have to focus on having the right tax structure. And we were very fortunate back in 2011 to get a small incremental tax decrease so we can allow people to keep more of their hard-earned money and to make us, frankly, more attractive to being able to attract new businesses to our state. I can tell you that when I go to Illinois, when I go to California, or when I go to some of the states, and I tell them what our tax rate is in Oklahoma compared to California's tax rate of 13%, and ours is 5.25 right now, or I go to Illinois where their governor raised their corporate income taxes, I think it was by over 60%. When I go to those states and I tell them what our tax rate is in Oklahoma, it gets people's attention. And that's why Oklahoma has the fourth strongest unemployment rate in the nation, while we've been so strong in job creation, job attraction. So I want to continue to look at and also work towards lowering our income tax rate. So I've asked the legislature to work with me to give us another tax cut, a 0.25% income tax cut, which I think is responsible. It will allow us the opportunity to be able to provide for essential services. And my goal is, frankly, to be able to continue to gradually lower our income tax over the next several years so that we can become more competitive with states like Kansas, who just lowered their income tax rate by a huge percentage, by several points, not just a little bit, by several points, and continue to be able to compete with Texas and Kansas and other states around the nation. And by the way, in the mid-1990s, we started lowering our income tax rate. In the mid-90s, our income tax rate was 7.25%. It's now 5.25%. And you just heard me explain about our economic growth, our unemployment rate, our revenue generation, and where we're at as a state compared to the rest of the nation. So we do know that those states that have the better competitive tax rates, while still funding essential services like higher education, like transportation, like corrections and public safety, we do know that that does attract more jobs to our state. So we're going to continue to work on that. Secondly, we're still going to work on our workers' compensation rates. We were talking about that at our table. You like that, Jody? Good. I'm for that too. We know that we've got to continue to work on helping businesses with their bottom line so they'll be able to expand and grow. And it also helps, frankly, our universities too. They have workers' compensation costs along with the state government itself. So we have several great workers' compensation reform bills that are going through the Capitol, and I've challenged legislators to get it passed on the House and Senate floor, and I think they will. I think we'll get a good package done this year, and it's certainly something that I'm for, and I know we need to address. And we'll also protect our workers, by the way. That's important to protect injured workers along with lowering our costs for our businesses. Another issue that's very important to me, and I know it's on your chamber list, is transportation. And we were very fortunate this past year to introduce a major transportation plan to be able to put more funding and to fix our structurally deficient bridges across our state, not only in our major metropolitan areas, but throughout rural Oklahoma. Oklahoma has typically been ranked as one of the top 5 states in the nation in structurally deficient bridges. We have over 706 bridges in our state that are not where they should be. And so I made a commitment last year, along with the help of our legislature, who passed legislation, and I signed it, to put more money towards our bridges and our infrastructure in our state. And so far, we have completed and have in the works 200 of the 700 bridges right now in just 1 year alone. 20% of our bridges that we've already been able to start on, and many of them have already been completed in this time period. And my goal is, by the time I finish, whenever that is, and it'll probably take 8 years if I'm fortunate enough to be there 8 years, but in our 8-year transportation plan, thank you, Wes, I appreciate that. But my goal is that we'll have no structurally deficient bridges of those 700. They'll all be gone, and we'll have fixed all 700 of them up. So we're well on our way to do that. And, of course, I don't want to forget education. Education, of course, is the key to economic growth and job creation, to our standard of living. And we were fortunate last year to make some great progress in helping with endowed chairs. The legislature worked with me to be able to get, I think it was around $125 million new dollars for endowed chairs to match a lot of the backlog of funding that we had of wonderful, generous contributors who were going to match that money. So we were able to get more money to that. We also gave a bump up in the baseline of $10 million from our supplemental to put that annualized into the funding of higher education last year. I'm hoping this legislative session we can do some more things for higher education. It's very, very important for our state. But one of the things I've also worked on is making sure that before our students reach OSU or OU or wherever it is they're going to go to school, of our universities and colleges in Oklahoma, that they're ready to start college. That their 12th grade diploma means they're 12th grade educated. And there have been many, many times over the years, as our regents know, that we've had too high of remediation rates in our state. So our legislature has done a tremendous job over the last couple of years of working on major education reforms, and Senator Halligan and Representative Denny has certainly led the charge in helping us on this. And we're going to do some more fine-tuning of this, but we were fortunate to be able to pass trial de novo in our state to be able to make sure that we have the most high-quality teachers in the classroom, and we got great teachers throughout the state of Oklahoma, to be able to allow our parents, our businesses, and our superintendents and our students to know how the schools are performing in general. And so we passed a grading system, A through F. We're going to make sure that that's fine-tuned, that's doing what it's intended to do. But I want everybody to keep in mind that the reason why we passed A through F is to make sure that a student gets the education they have to have, and that the 12th grade diploma means that they are 12th grade educated. That's the whole end goal of A through F. And so we're going to continue to work on that. We also passed legislation saying that every third grader should read at third grade level before they're passed on to the fourth grade, because you can't learn the math and the science and the other subject levels if you can't read, if you can't read at grade appropriate levels. So I want to give the legislature credit for helping us on that. And this year I want to make sure that we fund our reforms that we have done in common education. So I put more money in my state budget for not only the reforms that we passed, but also to help shore up the teacher benefits for their health care. I added another $22 million in my budget last week. But we've got some great news this week, yesterday as a matter of fact, that we anticipate when we certify our new revenues at the end of this month that we may have more money, possibly up to $40 million more new revenue than what we anticipated. So I'm hoping we can put some more money towards education. And be able to do the things that we need to do. And finally, I want to just talk to you a couple of things. I'll do it real quick. Government efficiency. I was visiting earlier when we were at the wind power dedication about how OSU has been such a great leader in efficiency, whether it has been in wind power powering this campus, whether it's been the use of CNG vehicles, compressed natural gas vehicles, which we're converting our state fleet vehicles over to compressed natural gas. And by the way, for any of you who don't have a natural gas vehicle, and Secretary Ming helped us write our energy plan for this, but compressed natural gas right now, Secretary Ming, is it still 99 cents a gallon? Is 99 cents per gallon gas equivalent of a gallon of gasoline? You know what the price of gasoline is right now? So a CNG vehicle, if you can imagine taking all of our 11,000 state fleet cars and vehicles in all the different governmental agencies and our campuses and universities and converting those to CNG at 99 cents a gallon versus $3.50 or whatever it is today, around that area, we're going to save taxpayers a lot of money, and that money will go back to our priorities of education or back to the taxpayers too. So that's another great way that we're working on energy efficiency. And OSU has certainly been a leader in energy efficiency. We took a page from your book, President Hargis, in passing a law last year that said that we're going to mandate that all of our state buildings have to have and achieve a 20% energy efficiency savings in energy costs, because we saw OSU do it. by your energy efficiency programs. So thank you once again for helping us find good models of innovation and efficiency in doing that. Lastly, I want to talk to you a little bit about health care, because if the people of Oklahoma aren't healthy, that certainly drives up our health care costs. It also makes our workforce less productive. It drives up our Medicaid costs, certainly our Medicare costs in our nation. It affects your health insurance costs as businesses that are providing health insurance, and certainly affects the health and the well-being of our citizens. And so in my State of the State speech this past week, I talked about how Oklahoma has worked on and is still currently working on what we call our Oklahoma Plan to improve the health of Oklahomans. We've had a lot of debate in our nation about health care and who should be in charge of our health care and how we provide health care for our citizens of our state. I think Oklahomans have spoken pretty clearly that we believe Oklahomans know best about how to provide for our health care, and we kind of prefer to do that over the federal government telling us how, when, and where, and when we're going to do it and how much it's going to cost. So we're working on a health care plan and working within the federal and the state systems that we have to, but we're working on the health care of Oklahoma. We know that Oklahoma has in the past ranked 49th in health indicator outcomes, which is totally unacceptable for our state. Good news is, because of various programs we put in the last couple of years, last 2 years, we've now dropped in rankings to 43rd. We've improved. We're now 43rd in the nation in health indicator outcomes from 49th. So we're moving that needle in the right direction, but we still have a long ways to go to improve our health. And so we're working on an overall health care plan. You may have heard me talk about last week, we're going to do something about our prescription drug abuse in the state of Oklahoma. And those that have problems with prescription drug abuse. A lot of great people out there that for some reason somehow got involved in substance abuse issues. We can help those people, and we're going to help those people. And so I've allocated another $16 million in my mental health budget to help provide for mental health services, substance abuse treatment, and emergency crisis centers throughout our state. We've also got a new suicide plan. We have way too high suicide rates in Oklahoma. We had a suicide just a day of my State of the State speech of one of our high school kids in Quita, Oklahoma. It's just terrible, and we certainly have seen it with our military veterans that are returning back from war. And so we have a great plan to fund more programming for crisis intervention for mental health services, certainly with substance abuse services in our state. And then we also have a great plan for certified healthy businesses, certified healthy communities, certified healthy schools to help teach our young children better eating habits and teach them about our top leading health problems in our state, whether it's obesity, whether it's diabetes, cardiac disease. Certainly smoking is one of those areas that has affected our health indicator outcomes. So I asked the legislature, and I'm going to keep pressuring them, and I'm going to invite all of you in this room. And I don't know how our legislators in this room today stand on this issue. They may be with me already. But I'm going to ask you to put pressure on the legislature to give Stillwater the ability to pass local controls on tobacco products and to allow each community in the state of Oklahoma to be able to have that local control. Right now, if a community wants to pass tougher smoking bans in their communities, they can't do it because the state of Oklahoma won't allow it to do it. It has to be statewide. So I want to give everybody local control in their communities, and if communities want to improve their health, they can. So call your legislators and tell them to get that bill to my desk. Well, there's a lot of great things being done in Oklahoma. There's still a lot more work to be done in our state, and certainly many more challenges ahead for Oklahoma, but it is a good time to be in Oklahoma. And I tell my friends that if you look at what's happening in Washington, D.C., and the partisan bickering, the uncertainty in Washington itself, and the uncertainty it's creating in our nation, that the one thing we can offer when we talk about jobs and opportunities is the certainty in Oklahoma, and that we can affect. And so I appreciate what the Chamber does to help us determine what we need to do for our workforce, our students, certainly our families and our businesses in our state. So thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak, and I'll be happy, Denise, to take some questions.
Governor Fallin, we do want to try to keep on your schedule as much as possible, but we do have a number of questions, so we'll try to edit them. Let's see here. First, if your tax reduction proposals is implemented, how do you propose to continue funding state infrastructure needs such as roads and bridges, and where would these funds come from?
Well, the funds will come from revenue growth in our state. We have $170 million have been certified as new revenue growth in our state, not to mention the $600 million that we were able to put in our rainy day account. So if you take the $600 million and the $170 million, we've had a lot of revenue growth in the state of Oklahoma, which is very, very healthy. We are going to be certifying through the Board of Equalization our new revenue that we didn't have when we last certified it, which was in December. That'll be at the end of this month. We anticipate that we may have another $40 million for that, so that's a nice sum of money, well over $200 million of new revenue growth for our state. We're prioritizing where that money should go. I still believe that the way you create a more stronger, vibrant economy, and my statistics prove it out, is that by having a fair tax structure in our state. We've already shown by reducing our taxes since 1990 from 7.25% down to 5.5% that we're one of the strongest, hottest economies in the nation, and I believe as we gradually reduce that down so we can be competitive with Kansas and Texas and the other states that have no income tax at all. We're still going to have some income tax, but just gradually lower that. I think we're going to become more competitive. So what I've seen, and I've actually tracked all the tax decreases specifically by years over the last, 15, 17 years that we've been gradually reducing the tax. And what we have seen is that the revenue generated by the economic growth of jobs in our economy has more than paid for any tax cut and sometimes tripled the revenue that has come in after that tax cut.
Wonderful, excellent, thank you. What is Oklahoma doing to increase the number of available workforce?
Available workforce. Well, I will tell you this, one of the most critical things we have to do is, especially as we have a low unemployment rate, and Mayor, when you have low unemployment rate like you do here, it is very important that we're providing the skill sets needed for the industries looking for employees. And that's why I have the Department of Commerce look at all our employment codes, look at where we need the workers, look at future projections of growths in industries and where we can generate the most wealth. I don't want to be training basket weavers when we need aerospace technicians or when we need oil field workers. And there are several industries that have true needs. Your engineering department, we can use as many engineers as you can produce in our state. And so we're fine-tuning how we're working with our colleges, our universities. We're working with our career techs to make sure that they're giving the right type of career certificates, which is very important too. We've also established a new program 2 years ago called Complete College America, which encourages higher rates of graduation in our colleges, whether it's an associate degree, whether it's a 4-year degree, and frankly even in our career technology schools to get more students to go through career technology programs if they're not going to go on to college. That's fine too. You can make good money as a plumber, you can make good money as a welder. You know, we just want a highly skilled, educated workforce, and that's how we're going to be able to fill those jobs and the needs that we have.
And we need lots of aerospace manufacturing engineers and lots of welders to fill both Total Energy and NASCA.
And let me just mention, one of the things we did our first year in office, and the legislature helped me on this, is that we proposed that we reinstate our engineering tax credit. And the legislature passed that, and I think that was one of the factors that ASCO probably looked at, was having the engineer's tax credit for aerospace.
It absolutely was, thank you. Recently, the FAA released a new asset report grading airports based on specific criteria. In Oklahoma alone, 37 airports were downgraded, including our very own Stillwater Regional Airport to a local airport, which unfortunately at some point will probably affect future federal funding. The specific criteria has been questioned. Are you aware of this asset report, and what efforts can your office do to assist us in prompting the FAA to reanalyze that criteria?
I actually do have the report, and I have seen it and looked at it, and that is a big challenge for Oklahoma because the airports are essential for companies and for individuals that fly. And so we're going to be working with our congressional delegation. We're also going to be working with Senator Inhofe, who I think is in a prime position to help us with the FAA and working through our contacts with the FAA. And I will tell you, as the incoming chair of the National Governors Association, I'll do everything I can to work on the federal level with our FAA officials and congressional delegations and other governors to see how we can improve that status for the state of Oklahoma and improve our funding.
Wonderful. Well, I've just been informed that Governor Fallin's schedule is full for the day, and so I want to thank you again so much for attending today, visiting with us, sharing. Thank you, everyone, that came out, and Governor Fallin, thank you so much.
Thank you.